Welcome to Gold Coast Insider, where we bring you business insights, stories, opportunities, and forecasts from movers and shakers across the Gold Coast. I'm your host, Estelle Rodiguero. I'm CEO of Regional Development Australia Gold Coast. My guest today is Ludwina Dautovic, who is CEO and founder of the Room Xchange, Australia's first and only verified house sharing platform. Now, with nearly 3 decades of entrepreneurial experience, Ludwina is a multi-award winning visionary leader who's not only passionate about innovation and technology, but also deeply committed to addressing critical issues such as housing affordability and sustainability. Ludwina's journey from entrepreneur to CEO is a testament to her dedication to creating meaningful change. And today she'll share her insights, experiences, and the incredible impact that the Room Xchange is making in the world of housing. Welcome, Ludwina.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Okay, let's start with, I'd like you to start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your background, who you are and what you do.
So I'm 57. I've been an entrepreneur for 29 years. In fact, I've never had a day job. So I've always been self-employed. And another interesting tidbit to that, I have also been working from home for 29 years. So I think I won an award, I just noticed the other day, in 2009 for Home-Based Business of the Year. So that was I thought that was quite funny. So what am I doing? 6 years ago, I founded the Room Xchange, and I have been leading this charge in a way that has surprised me. I originally founded the company with one idea in mind, and as these things go, it's kind of morphed and developed into something else. And a lot of people are saying to me at the moment, oh gosh, you came along at the right time. And it's like, no, I've actually been around for about 6 years. It's funny how those things go, isn't it? I'll fly by nighter. Yeah. But I think sometimes, you know, the universe has a way of kind of getting you started at a particular time to get you ready for another time. And with the level of maturity that the company's got, I believe that we're here at the right time to help solve this housing crisis. So as a CEO and founder of the Room Xchange, my goal right now is to really establish this company to be a strong, mature company that can hold its own for years to come, and to also be an instant solution to this awful crisis that the country, and not just Australia, even beyond, is experiencing right now.
So 6 years ago, you founded the Room Xchange. The rental and housing market would have been a lot different to what it is now. What were the key issues back then? What was the driving force into commencing this? What was the program behind this?
A lot of my business ventures over the years have happened because of a problem I was solving, or a problem that I was solving for somebody else. So I've been a business advisor for a number of years. So, and this was no different, but it was a real surprise, though. It wasn't something that I had sort of saw straight up. So for want of a better word, I became an empty nester. So that's when, you know, your children start leaving home, and my eldest son left home. He's now 30, so he was 22 at the time. And after a year of walking past his room and crying, I just then sort of got to a stage where it's like, hey, kid, come and get your stuff out of this room. I've got to do something with it. And I'm always of the ilk, how can we, you know, tighten the purse strings a bit? How can we better get value out of something? Or, you know, let's do bulk shopping. I've just always been that way. That's something that my mum installed in me. And so I started seeing this room as a cost center. And what I mean by that is whether you're renting or you have a mortgage, whatever it is that you're paying, that square meterage is costing you something. So I decided that was costing me about $200 a week. So I thought, I'm going to do something with it. And so I did what a lot of people do, and I listed it on a short-term holiday platform, which I'll never do again. And I love the nature of the random people that came, and different cultures. And, you know, I just really love having variety in my life. And so that was fun, but I didn't like the 4 hours it took to get the entire house hotel ready for a $70 a night guest. And so I stopped doing that. And then my other adult child had some friends who were traveling, and they needed somewhere to stay, and they were broke. And she said, hey, Mum, can they, you know, come and stay? And I said, sure. And then the first one who did, he stayed for a little while and felt bad for not paying anything. And he said, oh, can I, I don't have any money to pay you. Is there something I can do for you? And I said, well, actually, my husband, Harry, and I were both running our own business. At home, we're really busy. How about you just help us out a couple of hours a day and we'll feed and house you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally how it started. It was just that. And so our original model was that. It was purely on we called it exchanging.
Mm-hmm.
We lived like that for about 4 years. So we had probably 6, 7 different people live with us over that period of time. The longest was 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we just absolutely loved it. And then my friends started asking where they could find someone. And then when I hear something like that 3 times, I start growing antennas out of my head. It's like this, oh, is there something here? And then I did some due diligence, market research, and just thought, I wonder if there's a product market fit here. And there absolutely was potential in it. And that's how the Room Exchange was born.
Wow. So a lot of people would be in that boat. I mean, a lot of people would find that they've got that extra room that we're still waiting for relatives to turn up and use about once every year, haven't we?
Yeah, I call it the room that suffers from pillification more than it does anybody sleeping in it. It's like, why do you have that? You could get some air beds and just, put them in the second living room that most people's homes have these days. Just get one of those, beautiful Japanese dividers, put it up, and you can create a spare room, and then you can actually use your spare room.
So the Room Exchange started like this, but that isn't what you've got now. That isn't the Room Exchange today, is it? So
No,
it's actually morphed since then, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like all businesses. They say a lot of businesses fail within the first 3 years. I think it's because they don't pivot, they don't listen to the market, and they
Absolutely.
kind of get stubborn. And I will admit, I had a stubborn moment. It was kind of like, when when you're pregnant, you have this idea of what your child's going to be like, and then your child's born, and it's like, they're never going to have a bottle, or they're never going to have a dummy, or whatever your idea is, and then you haven't slept for a week, and then all of a sudden things shift, right? Or when the child develops its personality that's sort of a little different to what you thought, and you've got to kind of morph and adapt to it. And if you don't, you're going to end up with this tension. It's the same with business. And I started to see, through that wonderful time that we're all locked down for a couple of years, it was, what's the choice here? Do we fold? And I don't think anyone would have faulted us for it, because nobody's opening up their doors, when we're all got to stay behind our doors, right?
Of course, because could have people in there.
No,
so that would have impacted.
Yeah, and we had just hit scale up, so we were just reached the point, and I'd raised capital in my seed round to build the tech, and so I had responsibility to shareholders, and there was just a lot of challenges around it. What are we going to do? And so I decided that I'm going to use the time to pivot the company, make some assumptions about where the world's going to be post-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we were hearing just before that time was, look, I don't have, because the model was 2 hours a day in exchange for food and accommodations. There's about 14 hours a week of household help to live completely free. And, I don't have that much time. Could we do half rent, half help? And so I started to evaluate that, and I thought, well, what if we offered rent as an option, but then instead of calling it exchanging, we call it rent offset. So it's kind of a language that means that we don't have to educate the market on what it means. And so rent offset, bam, that's it. And then the other thing that we shifted was that leading with that we're Australia's first and only verified house sharing platform. And we had been since we started, but we'd never led with that. And I didn't realize how important it was until I had that period of time to kind of really sit and reflect and go over the conversations. And one of the key things that people were saying was that, or the homeowners, was that they absolutely loved and felt confident about the fact that every user on our platform, whether you're a homeowner, renter, or householders and housemates, as we call them, they had to have a digital ID by Australia Post. Now, for anyone listening, it's actually very simple, and we cover the cost of that. It's part of the profile creation process. So you don't have to go anywhere. It just means that your name and your date of birth that you enter when you register, if it doesn't match your ID, you won't get passed. We don't hold that information, and neither does digital ID. It just has to be a match. If it doesn't pass, even if you've completed your profile, you cannot connect with anyone. And what that does is it's a natural filtering process. So it gets rid of any potential problematic people who find that additional step of friction, won't like our process. So I would assume that they're probably more impatient people, and I wouldn't want someone who's impatient living in my home. And sometimes I find that they're more likely to be what I call yeah, but people. Yeah, but what about this? And what about me? And what about,
Yeah.
And the other thing that it does too is that anyone who's got something to hide is not going to want to be identified in that way. So it's a psychological filter. It works. In 6 years, we've not had one complaint. And so we just tweaked it. And that tweak, plus a whole lot of work in the tech and the branding and the language and what you see on the website, all of that, there's a whole lot of work in the background that changed. But just those two things leading with the verification and the rent offset has really got us in a very strong position to be able to do what we're doing for the market today.
Because security is a really big thing, isn't it? Like in for everyone nowadays, and particularly, we've got house invasions, we've got everything, and the trust issue is a very big thing. If you're bringing someone new into your house, so through your platform, this is how you cross match or weed out. Is that correct?
Yeah, and look, let me just kind of like backstep a bit because home invasions and somebody coming to stay in your home, there's a whole lot of difference in those experiences. And the same with, just anybody who is a criminal or anyone who's got sort of those kind of proclivities, they're generally not going to be attracted to what we do. So people who have got something in I know this because sadly my mother was scammed out of all of her money before she passed away. So I know how these people think. I caught 3 of them. I've got a very good understanding of how this works. And there is processes and steps that happen in our flow that you would not be consciously aware of when you're going through them.
Okay. Yeah.
That you would just stop at a certain point if you were that. Okay. And so by the time somebody has completed their profile, they have gone through a process, again, that they're not going to be that consciously aware of, that is already a filtering process that is going to give them such a high level of comfort that they know that anybody else that they've connected with on the platform has gone through exactly the same thing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so then back in the old days, I'm 57, so I'll say that when I was a young single lass living on my own in Sydney in my late teens, early 20s, we used to go down to the pub. There'd be a A4 poster with tear off phone numbers on the bottom, looking for a flatmate, $50 a week, whatever it was, call this number. You go to the publican, can I use your phone? You call them up, hey, I'm down at the pub. They come down to meet you. You have a beer. You look all right. Yeah, you can pay the rent. You got a job. Yep. Okay, move in tomorrow. We used to call it common sense and gut instinct and the ability to be able to filter people. It wasn't like, show us your ID, where's your references. And, I didn't have any nightmare experiences, and I probably live with 20 different people. So if we fast forward to today, we take away all of the potential fears that social media and the news would have us think are there that are not really, but let's just assume,
which is what I was actually pertaining to. I think there's a lot of fear within the single, the people with houses. The fear comes from that, not so much,
It does, yeah. Well, let's just assume the most important thing for us is that people feel comfortable, regardless of whether it's true or not, right? We want to have some common sense set up here, and we want the whole thing that we've done with technology means that all of that is done in a streamlined process that doesn't require human to do it, which means the cost of our service is very low. And if you want our premium services, you can, but essentially you can go onto the platform and you can just use it, right? Like if we had to have this entirely driven by people from where to go, it would cost a fortune. And I know there's been, a few not-for-profits who have attempted to do something like this and they've fallen on the wayside because they can't manage the process of it. So technology has been my thing. I've been in tech since back in the analog days. I used to produce TV and edit on, super VHS tapes. Like I've been in media. I was podcasting since 2010. Technology is my thing. Like I know how we can utilize it. And so that's what we've done. So we've made this process as simple as possible for anybody, even right up to 7-year-olds who use our system, right? And then the rest then has got to be common sense. But once you've connected with someone, they can look at your profile. If they like you, they can accept your connect request. The next step after that then is that you can chat with our private inbuilt messaging system. And still at this point, people only know your first name.
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So they've seen your profile, but there's nothing in the profile other if you're a homeowner other than the suburb you live in. That's it, and your preferred name. So you don't even need to use your real first name publicly, and then whatever photos that you've got on your profile, right? And you need a profile photo, like you do it on Facebook. There's no harm with that. Some photos of the room and the house, and then that's it. You can chat. You ask any further questions there. You can meet up for a coffee, and then at that point, it's like it's no different to dating. Like how much information do you need about someone before you're going to go and hang out with them or invite them over, right? So, and then it's, and they're month by month generally. It's, it's a house sharing agreement. It's a civil agreement. It's not a tenancy. And so it's just, like, well, what do you want when you live? You know everything through the profile. I know everything about you now. What else do we need to know about each other? Do I like you? That's it.
Yeah. And is there a support mechanism that's inbuilt behind that for people when they first, journey down this course? And I'm talking about the homeowners that are looking for someone.
Well, again, if we had this service that was completely human driven, it would be so expensive that nobody would be able to do it. Okay. So what we've got at the moment is, it's set up in such a sophisticated way that you can confidently go through the process yourself.
Right.
We've got that all the way to premium services where we do everything for you. So we have some, we have clients where they, we even create the profile for them.
Yep.
We advise them on what photos to take to upload. We then target advertising for particularly the person that they're looking for, because they're not always going to be on the platform. People come on and off all the time. Then we filter through those and then we interview them. And then we do a 3-way interview with the homeowner if they with the one that we've decided would be ideal. We always get it right at that point. Then they go and meet up and then they decide they're going to live with each other. And then we do another 3-way video call and then help them to facilitate the house share agreement, which they both fill out, and then they both sign together and off they go.
So you were quoted as saying there's over 13.5 million unused spare bedrooms in 10 million homes, across Australia. And that's existing housing stock in homes that could do with an additional, 10,000 plus a year in rent or up to 300 hours of household help. Not to mention providing rental opportunities for people in the market where we've never got enough stock and it's very expensive now. And I guess that, what you're doing is particularly pertinent given the lack of rental on housing affordability. Have you found that it's actually, grown exponentially? Is this something that it has that you've noticed?
Yeah, absolutely. And just before I answer that specifically, because I think we skipped over the rent offset, and I want to explain that 300 hours, if that's okay.
I forgot that one. Sorry.
So what when we talked about the rent offset, as we change the language from exchanging to offering rent offset, what that means is let's just say, like in my home, because both my kids have left, I have 2 housemates. One of them is on a full rent offset. So the rent offset value it's $250 a week if he was paying rent.
Right.
And so he helps me out about 8 hours a week around the house. Half that time he delivers postcards for me in letterboxes for the Room Xchange. And half the time he mops and vacuums the floors each week, keeps the kitchen clean, and does a few other odd bits and pieces around the house. So that helps us out instead of having to hire a cleaner. And then the other housemate pays rent. So I can choose how I want that to be. I can also choose that somebody can pay half rent and half offset. So, and we work it out $25, $30 an hour. Just sort of depends on what it is we're asking them to do. And as long as it's non-professional and non-licensed. So, for example, if you were getting some plumbing done, they could help you dig the holes, but they can't do the plumbing. Right? Yeah. So, there's a number of different things. I've had housemates where they've helped me with my social media, just some basic business admin stuff as well. Yeah. So you just work out an agreement between you and the person of what it is and expectations and when you'd like to have it done by and how, etc. And then they can do that. So for the housemate, it's really pertinent because they can also save some money. So there's a lot of people, who might want to be saving up for a deposit on a house, could do a full rent offset for a few years and put that money away and save up, So that's what the rent offset is. So in regards to your question about where the market is now, it's like, yes, it's just like we've come at the perfect time. Things have changed immensely and my predictions were correct. in regards, I've been in the property market since the interest rates were back 32 years ago when interest rates were 18%. That's how long I've been in the property market for. I'm a self-managed landlord for our rental property that we have, and then we also rent. And, so I experience the property market from all aspects of it, and I'm very embedded in what's happening at the moment. And part of the work that we're doing is lobbying and also talking about things that need to shift around the housing industry and what needs to change, because I still cannot pinpoint exactly how we got here, Estella. Like, it's how did we get here? Like, there are a number of different issues, but there's just so much housing insecurity around, and it's not even for people who can't find a rental. It's housing insecurity that people who are renting are experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why is it that these days we can't get a 3-year residential lease? It's crazy. Like, as a renter myself, I'm 57. My husband and I have got a healthy income. We have an investment property. We've been renting for 7 years, so that rental history is sound.
Yeah.
What else do I have to have? Another house? Like, what do I have to have so I can walk into a place and prove that I'm worthy of a 3-year lease?
Absolutely.
It's just ridiculous. And that creates housing insecurity. So when lease time comes around, particularly right now, and a lot of people are feeling this because they're all worried that the rents are going to go up, so there's a lot of problems that are in the housing and rental space right now. But with, once upon a time, the rental market was just for 20-year-olds who are leaving home for the first time or going to uni. And now there's a new kind of renter. We have people all from 25 all the way up to 70 who are renting, who are coming to our platform looking for somewhere to live.
And the other issue with that, which I came across recently, is that if people have been renting, even long-term, but by private rental, they have no history if they've got to move. Like, it's ground zero for them.
Well, okay,
unless they've got that reference behind them and they're doing private rentals, they're being edged out because the market is so congested, or so that they actually can't prove their rental history. So it's becoming a real issue.
Yeah, one of the things that we're developing is an app, and I can't sort of talk too much about it, but it's part of our next 6-month plan. But in this app, one of the things that we want it to do is to be able to hold your rental history. So as a house share, and one of the things we're talking about is that house sharing it's real estate's third option in my mind. So we've got home ownership, renting, house sharing, right? And we want it to become as established and as valued as renting. And through this app, it will create a rental ledger so that hopefully with our lobbying with the real estate industry, they will accept that as a rental reference. And the rental ledger will be the proof of payment of rent through house sharing. But you're absolutely correct. The only value in my rental history is the current house that I'm in, moving towards the next one. It is ridiculous. Where does our rental history live? Nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And gone are the days where an agent would give you a written reference. And now you get, as an landlord myself, if any of my past tenants ask me for a reference, I get an email that always goes into my junk folder, which is a massive survey that I've got to fill out and add rental ledgers and add this and add that to it, just to give them what happened to a phone call?
I know. Absolutely. So the world has completely and utterly
changed.
It has.
And that's where prop tech is, property technology. The prop tech industry is actually really helping to solve a lot of these problems in that space.
And I'm glad you mentioned prop tech, because most recently the Room Xchange clinched the Prop Tech Association Australia Award for the most innovative prop tech in environment, social and sustainability. But not only that, you've also taken out the Wynnum Business Award for excellence in technology and innovation. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's really good recognition. So you are making inroads with that Prop Tech Association. You are working closely with them and trying to make some changes.
So Prop Tech Association Australia is an industry association for people who are in the property / technology space, or utilising technology to make a difference in the property space.
Right.
And I entered the award last year and I was a finalist, and, persisted and entered it again this year and won this one, which was amazing. But they have been incredibly supportive of us in terms of contacts and leads and advice. And Jennifer Harrison and Kylie Davis, who just work tirelessly down there, have just been so, so good to us. But through the insights that we've learned about what's happening in this prop tech space, a lot of these problems that are becoming heightened now because of the current state of the rental crisis is actually, a lot of them are being addressed through technology. And that's the thing that we're really proud about. And having won that Wyndham Business Award for excellence in innovation and technology, that was just amazing because, what we've built is incredibly sophisticated and strong and versatile as well. And it's just what we can do with technology, not just with what we're doing now, but what we plan on doing in the future is just going to be amazing. So yeah, we're really humbled to have won those awards, and it just could not have come at a better time.
No, that's so good. Now, recently you've collaborated with Study Gold Coast. What was this project? What did that entail?
Well, a number of different organisations and community groups are struggling with accommodation issues, and they were part of the Hosts for the Coast campaign. Yeah, that happened. And then with the Hosts for the Coast campaign, they partnered with a homestay organisation, which is different to what we do. Homestay is kind of like full room and board. I think food. And then I think you do some services like cooking for them and things like that. But not all of the homeowners that listed were interested in going that far. They were just happy to rent their room. So they partnered with us to create a connection between the homeowners and us, to get them listed on our platform, and then get the international students listed. So the ones that just wanted to rent, that we could take care of those. So we built a landing page for the homeowners and one for the international students, and they're out there in Google World now and bringing these leads to us, and then we help to get them connected once they come to our platform. And it's just a great way for Study Gold Coast to be able to solve part of that problem. So there's so many homeowners that are up there, and they've got such a big issue. I mean, I think that one of their local council people actually, or was it the mayor, put a letter out to all of the residents asking them to open up their homes. So, and that's not unheard of. It's happening in a lot of different places around. So if anyone's listening and sort of stuck in that place, please let us know, because we can actually help support you with a similar kind of partnership setup.
And just to follow on from that, Ludwina, at the bottom of all this, we will be putting the links so that people can contact the Room Xchange and get in contact. But any other partnerships? So moving forward, so Study Gold Coast, any other partnerships you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, well, we have a lot in the pipeline. We haven't solidified them all yet, but it's really interesting. Since these awards came in, we've been I think media and partnership opportunities have been keeping me busier more than like 5 media things this week. It's just crazy what's happening. We've just released a press release about our partnership with homely.com.au, and they're an independent online real estate portal, and we just absolutely love their values, and they've just got the most incredible street review system as well, and they've got properties listed for ownership and for renting, and they love what we're doing with the house share market, so we're collaborating together there. Doctor Care Solutions is another one that's been around for a while. It's an aged care organisation. So when they have elderly people who want somebody for their home, they send them over. I know I'm going to be missing a few, so I'm sorry for anyone who's already a partner, but we've got a number that haven't actually, we haven't signed the paperwork yet, so we can't. But we're speaking to a number of different business groups, regional areas, trying to help them solve their accommodation issues. We're also talking to regional areas about helping them create an accommodation solution for when they have events that they want to actually have come to the area. So there's a huge lost opportunity cost for regional Australia not being able to accept sporting events or arts events or music festivals, etc., because they don't have the accommodation. And apart from utilising short-term holiday platforms, which then creates an ongoing problem because it's removing long-term rentals from the market, they've only got their commercial accommodation, which is usually very limited. So we are partnering with, we're in the process of having conversations with a number of different regional areas about how we can help them create an accommodation solution so that they can say yes to these opportunities that come. So, you know, local homeowners might be happy to rent out their spare room or put a tent in the backyard or whatever it is for a period of 3 or 4 days just to accommodate some people so that the local town can say yes to these events and then help with the economic growth. So there's a number of really interesting ways that we're able to flip our model and also white label solutions, which means, you know, we can build micro versions of our main platform for our regions and organizations as well. Yeah, so we're scoping that out at the moment and having some conversations with various different groups about that too. We can do it in the not-for-profit sector all the way up with the government to, you know, the private sector. So, you know, when we're talking about, you know, there are 13 million bedrooms, right? So how can we access it? Not everyone's going to want to, you know, have someone there full time. That's okay. But they might be happy to, for a few days, to help an event, help the region, have an event come. That's one solution. Or maybe they're happy to have somebody in their home for the summer season so that the coastal town that they live in, you know, they can go down their local coffee shop and actually get a coffee, you know, because there's enough staff there. So there's a number of different ways that we can actually model this out. And, you know, the partnerships that are coming now are, you know, just asking the question, how can you help us?
Wow, that's so
and
good.
Everything in my mind is figure outable.
Yeah. And to follow on from that one, you're going to be doing a road show soon too, aren't you? You're going to be doing a road trip. Tell us about your road trip.
Well, it's the only way I can get a holiday.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty much. So, and I love driving. I love being on the road. It's really good for clearing the cobwebs out of your mind and coming up with ideas. And all I need is my laptop and the internet, and I can work anywhere. So I'm driving from Melbourne, Shepparton, Albury, Wagga, Dubbo, maybe Tamworth, up to Brisbane, and then I'll be staying at my brother's up there for a couple of weeks and working from there. And then I'll be doing the same, coming down the coast and stopping at regional towns, coming down the actual coastal area towards Sydney, and then back to Melbourne. And what I plan to do is kind of like, I don't know, mini town hall events, I guess you call them, or round tables, or, you know, $100 behind the bar at the local pub, and, you know, get in touch with the local radio and newspaper and say, look, I'm coming. Can you help support us? Put some posters up around the town and get homeowners to come and hear about how they can make 10 to 12,000 a year in rent from their spare room, how they can help their regional town, both economically and also with accommodation and housing, and also invite, you know, the local chambers of commerce and the local MPs hopefully will come as well, and they can hear about what it is that we can do and how we can actually help them right now. It's not something that they have to wait for. The technology's there. All they've got to jump on is jump on and register and kick it off. So if anyone is in any of those regional areas, really love for you to get in touch with us and see if you can help us and partner and maybe sponsor those events. And, you know, when we get out there and really just, I'm a country girl, Estella. I grew up in a little country town with 500 people just outside of Albury, in How Long it's called. And, you know, I know how country people are. Yeah. You know, it's just like get down the local pub, have a chat, chinwag, a beer, you know, bit of food on the table. Everyone's happy. Let's talk. I just want to talk to people.
And you're right. It's not just about supplying the accommodation for events, which I think is brilliant, because there's a big one coming out at Roma soon, which I've got my eye on. But it's also about the employment. It's also about actually having staff, people move there and having a lifestyle, but also, you know, supporting that the employment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we had conversations down coastal area in Victoria last year just before Christmas, but it was too tight for them to be able to make a decision to get something up. But, you know, if there is an event or an event that maybe a council is actually pitching for, all we need is probably 2.5 months from close of the deal to actually build the tech out, and you can actually have your own platform. We will build it. You can have your own platform. We just shut it off when the event's finished, and we turn it back on the following year when it's on again.
That's incredible. That's a really good service. So what do you see now as the major challenges moving forward? I'm going to talk to you about the challenges, but I'm also going to talk to you about the opportunities, because in challenges there are opportunities if you can gauge it that way.
So challenges specifically
for
in the housing market? Or okay, so look, the gap in between where we are now and the problem being solved.
Do you
So
think it's getting worse, or has it stabilized? What are we looking at?
look, I have a lot of conversations with people, and it's getting desperate. And look, I'll just say up front, we are not a solution to homelessness, okay? We're not asking people to open up their home, to take somebody in who's been homeless. That's a social welfare need.
Yeah.
But the thing that's shifted now to what it was before is that all middle-class people are only two paychecks away from losing their house, right? So that whole, housing insecurity maybe, or how, that it's just like not having a home now is become much more realistic to people who never thought it would happen to them. And the 12 interest rate hikes, it's disgusting. I'm struggling with that myself. I'm having to juggle things constantly, and can we get a better deal somewhere else? Can we, what are we doing? I went and shopped at a bulk shopping place. I won't even mention the name because they were gross. Like, I thought I'd give it a shot, just save some money and buy in bulk. So I'm going to have to go somewhere else. It's just like all these things that we're having to do, which is fine. Like, we can adapt.
Yeah.
I have a philosophy that as long as we don't lose anything this year, it's a good year. I think you need to be realistic in terms of where things are at. But the building industry's messed up.
Yes.
The cost of building is too high. Yeah. I have so many friends who have got unfinished houses.
Oh, same.
It's like they're managing a mortgage, rent, and like I cannot imagine what that would be like right now for them. There are, we've got these McMansions that have been built that are just ridiculous in size, that have not been even built economically. So even with the energy costs now, it's crazy. I mean, the house that I live in, it's a 4-bedroom, 3 living room. It's crazy big. It's got 1 unit for the evaporative cooling and for heating for the entire house. It's stupid. There's so much idiocracy that's just been part of this whole housing market.
Because we've had it so easy for so long. But the other issue I'm finding now is that when a unit or a house goes up for rental and it has open day, then they're fighting each other. They're upping their rent. Like people are putting submissions in to try and increase that rental so that they can actually get the property. Now, at that stage, they're looking at over half of their income being in rent.
Yeah, so I know. But there's another, I know, but can you also imagine how difficult it is for property managers right now? I don't even think people think about that.
No.
Like, it's soul wrenching for them. The actual people who are managing the rentals in the real estate industry. Like, I cannot imagine what it would be like for them. They've got 40 to 60 applicants probably per place. And they know that there's people there that have got children or they've applied for so many properties before and they can't. So here's where we step in. If there's single people that are applying and can't get a property, if you're in the real estate industry, send them to the Room Xchange. We can help them. You get kudos there because you've given them a solution, and then we can help them by finding them accommodation. They'll come back to you, when the market's better or they've got more money or whatever it is, take the next step. You might even be the one they go to when they're ready to buy a house. There's ways to do this. We've just got to all work collaboratively together to do it. But I see it becoming darker. I think it's going to get darker. I don't think we're going to see a light anywhere soon in the next year. No, I don't think it's going to get. I think we're in for a very rude awakening, and I believe that the government can't fix this. They won't fix it. They can't. They take too long for anything to shift. They need the private sector. We're here. They need to talk to us. I have been lobbying the government for ages in so many different ways. Use the private sector who have the knowledge and the nous and the reputation and the credibility and the kudos and the awards and the, availability. Use us. We can solve this problem for you. And here's the thing, everybody who's got a spare room in this country, in the next 12 months, if we could get just 2%, 3%, look, 5% will solve the problem. But let's just say we've got a couple of percent of people that actually said yes to this. It's a social social responsibility we have to make sure that the country is not going to fall apart. And I'm not saying it's our responsibility. It shouldn't. We've got the problems here, though. But we have the power to be able to address it. We've created the technology to make it easy for you. You know, if we did that, then it means that there's more couples and more families that can go into the rental properties. If we remove the single people from applying for rentals, we can help shift it just a little bit. There's something there that can shift, you know.
And you are supporting those people who potentially do have their houses and have mortgages and are scratching as to how to pay that off as well. So, and I think we do get to a stage where, you know, we think we all want to be free and living in these units and houses by, you know, but the reality is it's not that environment anymore.
No, it's not. You know, loneliness is one of the biggest health epidemics in the world. We've got so many single person households. You know, I'd like to kind of, you know, if there's any way we're going to end off this conversation, is just talk about the absolute joys of sharing, you know, because it's not just about, you know, yes, we can help homeowners. Like that additional money will help pay that interest. And, you know, yes. And it's the first time actually we're having just as many homeowners signing up as renters. That's never happened before. It was 25%, 75.
Wow.
Before good. Now it's like, yeah. But, you know, like I've house shared for 8 years now. Yeah. And every single one of my experiences have been amazing. Sure, there's some adapting that needs to happen, but we're humans, we can all adapt.
Yeah.
But as long as the majority of my of how I live can remain that way, then it's just slight adaptation. So it might be you know, maybe watching your language a bit more, maybe, or you know, or that person, you know, likes to cook a particular type of meal. That's great. A bit of variety. I'm going to have that. Or, you know, like this, I'm actually struggling trying to find a problem. Like there's no issues that occur. It's like, these are our house rules. Okay. So please don't wear shoes on the carpet. Yeah. You know, I don't like talking about politics at the dinner table. So just keep your politics to yourself, or religion. We're just, you know, like I don't mind hearing about your experiences, but no preaching. Clean up after yourself. Each person has a major job to do each week around the house on the weekend. Right. Just do it. Yeah. And then if you want a special friend to come over, invite them for dinner first. Let us get to know them. And then if we're all happy, they can come for one night every 2 weeks. You know, when you want to leave, that's fine. Just give us a month's notice and make sure you leave the room the same way that you found it. Like they're all just human decencies. I mean, here's the thing. We've been house sharing since the moment we were born. Yeah, yeah. You know, it's just a matter of, and sharing space with other people is actually really, really healthy for the human experience. Yeah, yeah. It's a very healthy thing to do.
You're not saying anything different to when we've got our own children in the house, are you? Like clean up after yourself.
It's just easier. It's easier.
You're right.
A lot easier.
They're not going to hit you up for money.
No, and we don't have to ask them twice to mow the lawn. It's lovely. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just it is a wonderful experience, a cultural experience. The skills that you learn, the languages that you can pick up, you know, and the fulfillment that you get knowing that you're doing something great for someone else, and they're actually doing something great for you too. It's reciprocity. It's just beautiful.
And I guess you don't have to lock yourself in indefinitely. You can do this for a month, can't you? Like you can lock in for a month and say, right, I'm going to start down this journey, and I'm going to start softly. Is that possible?
Yeah, well, we don't even use the word lock in. It's kind of like it's like it's house sharing. We have it, you know, we say to our housemates, look, you can stay here for as long as you like. Just give us a month's notice and we'll do the same. So everyone have an exit plan, right?
Yeah, right.
But it's not a tenancy or a lease. You don't want that when you're a homeowner in your home. But the same token, you have to also understand that you don't want your housemate to feel insecure about where they're living either. They don't want to feel that, you know, in a month's time they could just be asked to leave. So it's the power in the relationship is with the homeowner, and being mindful of that is really important. So when I say to my housemates when you move in, look, I know this is my house, but I want you to feel like it's your home. So if you need something that you don't have, just let us know. You know, like we kind of had to work out the heating thing because one of our housemates just feels a cold, but we don't want the entire house on to heat his room. So we got him a little small heater for his room, and he just puts it on in the morning when he gets up, and he just heats his room a little bit. And it actually hasn't made made hardly any difference to our bill. But it's just so, it's like he's comfortable, and then we don't have to have the whole house on. It's just things like that. Like, how can I make you more comfortable? And Way, who's moved here, he moved over from Canberra. Get this, he owns a house in Canberra, but because he's never rented, he couldn't tick the box on the rental application with a rental history. So he said, "Oh my God, this is just the best way to live. I'm never going to rent."
It's like
he loves it.
Back home.
No, it's not. He cooks. We cook for him. He keeps it. He's just lovely to have around. This isn't about looking after someone. We all contribute around the house together, right? But it's like he's 39. He's in technology as well, so we had some great conversations, and he loves cooking curry. I do too. I'm half Indian, and we compare curry recipes and cook for each other, and he's just lovely to have around. But he just says it's just such a nice way to live. He said he never imagined how beautiful it would feel actually going and living with a married couple. He just loves it. He's never lonely.
And that's the other part too. I mean, if they're coming from another region and they're moving in, if they've got a job or whatever, you automatically come into an environment where you get to know somebody,
you have access to an existing network.
Exactly, be part of a community or part of that region. And I think that that's an important part as well. So if anyone's interested, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot after listening to this, how do they go through this process? What's step one?
So go to the roomxchange.com. That's a letter XCHANGE. And just click any of the orange get started buttons. That's it. That's it. And just follow the crumbs. All along the way, when you register, you'll get a text message from us saying, "Hi, notice that you registered. We're here if you need us." And they'll also go into an email autoresponder sequence that'll have additional information. And then when their profile's completed, they'll get another text from us saying, "Hey, congratulations, your profile looks great. If you need any support, if you want to get access to any of our premium services, we're here. Otherwise, just have a look at the blog posts and FAQs, etc. Start reaching out to people." They go into another email sequence. So they get nurtured along the way, and anytime they can book a call with our customer care team.
Great. They just get stepped through that whole process.
Yeah, they get stepped through it all. It's really simple. And they can book a call with us at any time. As soon as they get their first text message, if you want to book a call, reply with yes, and they get a link to book one. So you can talk to a person at any time that you need to.
Just want to congratulate you on this, on the Room Exchange, on starting this. This is such a good idea, and I can see that it's going to bring joy and pleasure, not only monetary support, but joy and pleasure to a lot of people, both the people that are in the room and the people that own the premise. So I can see that it's a really good response to what's happening in the world at the moment on a number of levels. Not just at one level. So I'm going to say thank you so much for speaking with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I'm going to make sure that all the connections and all the linkages and information is on the bottom of all our pages so that people are able to do that and connect with you. So thank you so much for chatting today, and congratulations. What a great thing you've started here.
Oh, thank you so much. And if anyone wants to connect with me personally, just look me up on LinkedIn.
Yep, they will. I'll make sure your name's written up there in bold colours. Thank you so much.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thanks, Estelle.
Cheers. Thanks for listening today. For a complete list of podcast episodes and transcripts, go to rdagoldcoast.org.au/podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter.